The small village in Mumbai, India, is bathed in the warm hues of an early morning sun. The village's serene beauty contrasts with the underlying tension in the lives of its inhabitants. Michael and Maria, the central figures in this story, are introduced. Michael is seen alongside his wife Maria, who is newly pregnant. Their faces reflect the joy and anticipation of their growing family. In a moment of contemplation, Michael approaches a young girl in the village, seeking her opinion about relocating to Mumbai permanently. He asks her whether it would be a wise decision for his family. The young girl, with a fearful expression, points directly at Maria and screams. This unsettling scene abruptly shifts as it is revealed to be a dream. The dream's disquieting nature lingers as Maria wakes with a start. The narrative then advances 6 years into the future. Maria, visibly distressed from the disturbing dream, is shown waking up and expressing her agitation by hitting Michael. Michael, trying to calm her, is met with her emotional turmoil. The camera focuses on a family photo, which includes Michael, Maria, their son Oliver, and their daughter Lucy, underscoring the passage of time and the impact of loss. The following morning, the family shares breakfast together, with their dog Winston also present. The maid, whose name remains unmentioned, is seen in the house. Despite the warm morning routine, a significant absence is felt. Oliver, once part of their family photo, is now nowhere to be found. Later that day, after Michael departs for work, Maria is shown experiencing a mental breakdown. Piki, the maid, observes Maria's distress with sympathy. That night, Michael returns home to find Maria asleep, seemingly comforted by old family videos. He watches a video of the family playing the piano together, focusing on Oliver. As he approaches Maria to cover her with a blanket, a bottle of pills falls from her grasp. Michael discovers that Maria has intentionally overdosed. Frantic, Michael contacts an ambulance. Meanwhile, Maria is depicted in a distressing memory of a tragic car accident. In this memory, the car rapidly submerges, and Maria struggles to free her children from their seatbelts. Despite her efforts, Oliver's leg is trapped beneath the car seat, resulting in his tragic drowning. Maria manages to rescue Lucy and is pulled to safety, but her desperate cries for help are ignored by locals who prevent her from returning to rescue Oliver. This traumatic event is etched deeply into Maria's psyche. In the present, Maria is receiving medical care in the hospital. Michael receives reassuring news from a doctor about Maria's improving condition. Piki, taking note of Maria's poor state, approaches her at the hospital and recounts a tale about a mysterious temple located on the outskirts of her hometown. Piki explains that the temple is believed to thin the boundaries between the living and the dead. She shares that Maria can reunite with her deceased son, Oliver, by bringing his ashes, scattering them on the temple steps, and locking herself inside the temple at night. Upon Maria's recovery and return home, she reflects on Piki's words about the temple. She observes Piki engaged in prayer at a shrine dedicated to her deceased daughter. Sensing Maria's interest in the possibility of reconnecting with Oliver, Piki reveals an important condition. Maria must keep the door closed during her conversation with Oliver, regardless of his pleas. Maria agrees to the terms, and Piki guides her to the cemetery where Oliver's coffin is exhumed. Maria insists on viewing Oliver's lifeless body and retrieves his beloved stuffed animal, the tiger. She is taken aback and horrified upon seeing Oliver's decomposed arm. A funeral is prepared and attended by several tribesmen who are part of the Agor people. These individuals adorn themselves with ashes from the deceased and consume the dead in the belief that it helps in communicating with spirits. Piki accompanies Maria to the train station, instructing her on how to reach the remote village and the temple. Maria embarks on her journey the following day, navigating a path through the forest, where she encounters several lifeless crows. She finally arrives at the temple, ascending its steps. Following Piki's instructions, she scatters Oliver's ashes on the temple steps and secures herself inside the temple with a candle. As night falls, Maria senses someone breathing within the temple and explores its depths. She stumbles upon a cave, feels an abrupt rush of wind, and witnesses a crow fall and decompose before her eyes. Maria encounters a mummified woman with her face concealed, which heightens her fear. She retraces her steps to the main hall and calls out for Oliver. The entrance door slams shut violently, causing her heart to race, The banging abruptly ceases, and Oliver's voice reaches her ears. Maria, overwhelmed with relief and excitement, presses her ear against the door, apologizing for leaving him behind. Oliver, displaying understanding, assures her he does not hold her responsible. However, as Maria tries to explain that she cannot open the door, Oliver bursts into tears, expressing his need to return to his previous realm. Desperate to spend more time with her son, Maria opens the door, only to find no one waiting outside. Consumed by shock and fear, she flees from the temple, unaware that the forbidding statue within begins to show signs of splintering. Back in Mumbai, Michael is restless during the night, with Winston barking incessantly despite there being no apparent cause. The following day, Lucy is engrossed in play when she is startled by an unusual disturbance. She discovers Oliver's cherished stuffed animal on the stair landing. Curious, Lucy picks up the toy and prepares to leave when the door to Oliver's room swings open. Later, Maria returns home and is met with Michael's disappointed expression. Her sudden absence had deeply worried him. She offers a swift apology, explaining she was attempting to restore herself. They share a warm embrace. That night, Maria is woken by Winston's persistent barking and decides to escort the dog outside. As she contemplates her daughter, she hears the bedroom floor creak, indicating the presence of someone. Despite her apprehension, Maria dismisses the eerie occurrence. The next morning, she discovers Lucy joyfully singing in Oliver's bedroom. Maria advises Lucy to play elsewhere, but just as she is about to leave, the toy box in the room tips over, scattering alphabet cubes that spell out the name Oliver. Feeling uneasy, Maria tidies up the cubes and proceeds downstairs. Maria's heart freezes when she finds Oliver's tiger plushie perched on top of the piano. Lucy, unfazed, expresses a desire to show Maria something. Lucy plays a familiar tune on the piano, and to their astonishment, the piano continues playing on its own. Maria, now fully aware of Oliver's spirit being present, begins to wash the tiger plushie with tears streaming down her face. Later that night, as Maria tucks Lucy into bed, Lucy asks her not to disclose these events to Michael. Lucy believes that Oliver is hiding from something but does not share details. Maria then enters Oliver's room and places the tiger plushie on the bed. A storybook falls from the shelf, and a chair shifts closer to the bed as if beckoning. Understanding the unspoken request, Maria realizes Oliver wants a bedtime story. Michael returns home and is met with Maria's enthusiasm, which perplexes him. Outside, leaves begin to cascade down and decay upon contact with the ground. That night, Maria awakens to find the tiger plushie positioned on the bed and hears Oliver's voice calling out to her. She wakes up again, realizing it was a vivid dream. The next morning, the family's gardener brings Maria outside to witness a somber sight. The plants in the yard have withered and perished, and the fish in the pond have died. Lucy discovers the family's pet birds are also dead. Maria, following Indian tradition, decides to release the deceased birds into the ocean. However, she is startled by the sudden appearance of Agor tribesmen, one of whom anoints her face with ash while chanting. Seeking safety, Maria and Lucy board a three-wheeler taxi, but they are halted by a car accident up ahead. Driven by curiosity, Maria approaches the scene and discovers a lifeless body before eventually returning home unharmed. That evening, a thunderstorm rages outside. Lucy, engrossed in television, remains unaware of Oliver's figure looming in the background. After bathing Lucy, Maria makes a startling discovery, a bite mark on her daughter. Lucy expresses her dislike for Oliver, citing his unkind behavior. Maria confronts Oliver in his room, but instead of engaging cooperatively, Oliver silently moves the storybook closer and compels Maria to sit. The door is forcefully shut, leaving Maria apprehensive. Later in the evening, Maria agrees to read Oliver a story, but demands that he never harm Lucy again. During this time, Michael calls to inform Maria of his late return home. Maria decides to sleep beside Lucy that night. She is startled awake by discordant piano notes and discovers the tiger plushie torn apart on the floor. A knock at the door reveals an Agor tribesman in the yard. Maria threatens to call the police, but the man remains unmoved and gestures behind her. Maria turns in terror to see a menacing figure crawling toward her. Filled with fear, she escapes back into the house. Piki confronts Maria, explaining that her actions have broken a crucial rule and that a curse has now been unleashed. The Agor tribesmen, known for their ability to commune with the dead, have invoked this curse due to Maria's disregard for their sacred rules. They have placed a marker at her home, symbolizing the curse and ensuring that the dead will be restless until it is resolved. Desperate, Maria tries to protect her family by seeking refuge. She gathers her family and locks all doors and windows, hoping to shield them from the increasing malevolent presence. Her anxiety heightens as the days progress and the supernatural disturbances escalate. She experiences unsettling visions and noises, which only intensify her fears. Michael and Maria struggle to hold on to their sanity as they grapple with the haunting presence that seems to be closing in on them.